You're mine forever now, Arya. Dante Valentino's voice was low, dangerous, his hand pressed flat against her trembling stomach. That child you're carrying, I planned every second of it. Arya's knees buckled. The pregnancy test slipped from her fingers and clattered against the marble floor. You did this on purpose. Tears streamed down her face. I'm a maid, Dante. I clean your floors. Why would you? Because the moment I saw you, he whispered, lifting her chin, I knew you'd belong to me. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and follow my story to the end. And in the comments, tell me what city you are watching from. I want to see how far my story has traveled. The alarm went off at 4:30 in the morning and Arya Mitchell was already awake. She hadn't really slept. She never really slept anymore. Sleep was a luxury for people who didn't have to count pills, count dollars, count the hours until the next shift, the next paycheck, the next miracle that never came. Arya hadn't had a miracle in 23 years of living, and she had stopped expecting one somewhere around year 19. When the doctor walked into the waiting room with that look on his face, the look that meant her mother's life had just been measured out in months instead of years, she swung her legs over the side of the narrow mattress and sat there for a moment, hands pressed against her knees, breathing. Just one more day, she whispered to herself. Just get through one more day. From the other side of the thin wall, she could hear her mother coughing. The sound was wet and ragged, and it pulled at something deep inside Arya's chest, a string that had been pulled so many times it should have snapped by now, but somehow never did. She got up. The kitchen of the tiny apartment was already cold, the linoleum freezing under her bare feet. She put the kettle on, measured out the morning pills, counted them twice the way she always did, and then went to her mother's room. Mama, she said softly. Mama, it's time. Eleanor Mitchell opened her eyes slowly. Her face was thinner than it had been a week ago. Every week a little thinner. Every week a little more of her seemed to slip away like sand running through fingers Arya couldn't close fast enough. You're up early, baby, Eleanor whispered. I have to be at the Valentino house by 6. The Valentino house. Her mother's eyes flickered with something concern, maybe. Fear. Arya, I told you I don't like that you work there. Mama, please, not today. They say things about that family. People disappear. People say things about a lot of families. Arya helped her sit up, propped a pillow behind her back, pressed the cup of water into her hands. And the Valentinos pay me triple what I made at the hotel. Triple, Mama. Do you understand what that means? It means we can afford the medicine this month. It means I don't have to choose. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. Baby, don't. Arya's voice cracked and she hated that she couldn't keep it steady, hated that her mother could still see right through her. Don't cry, Mama, please, just take your pills. She watched her mother swallow them one after the other, and then she leaned down and kissed her forehead, and she promised herself for the 10,000th time that she would not cry until she was outside. She held that promise until she got to the bus stop. Then she let one tear fall. Just one. She wiped it away before anyone could see. By 6, she was in the kitchen of the Valentino estate, tying on her uniform apron, listening to Mrs. Calloway, the head of household staff, run through the morning's assignments. Bedrooms on the 3rd floor, Mrs. Calloway was saying, her clipboard pressed to her chest. Library, dining room, and on. She paused and Arya watched her hesitate, watched her glance down at her list, and then back up with a careful, neutral expression. Mr. Valentino's office. The other maids went still. Arya felt every eye in the room turn toward her. Mr. Valentino's office, she repeated. Yes. But Mrs. Calloway, I've never been allowed in there. None of us are allowed in there. Mr. Valentino requested you specifically. The silence that followed was the kind of silence that made Arya's stomach turn over. Me, she said. He requested me. He doesn't even know my name. Mrs. Calloway's lips pressed together. Apparently he does. A girl named Sophia, 2 years older than Arya and twice as bitter, let out a soft, ugly laugh. Oh, Sophia said. Oh, Arya. Sweetheart. What? Arya snapped. Nothing, Sophia said, smiling. Nothing at all. Just be careful in there. He's a particular man. He doesn't request things. Not unless he wants something. Arya grabbed her cleaning cart so hard her knuckles went white. I have a job to do, she said. That's all this is. Sophia said. Of course it is. The walk to Dante Valentino's office was the longest walk of Arya's life. The hallway was lined with paintings she didn't understand, in statues that probably cost more than her mother's hospital bills. And she tried not to look at any of it, tried to keep her eyes on the floor, tried to remind herself that she was nobody. She was invisible. She was a girl in a uniform pushing a cart, and men like Dante Valentino did not look at girls like her. She knocked on the door. 3 soft knocks, almost apologetic. "Come in." His voice did something to her. She didn't know what. She didn't want to know. She pushed the door open and stepped inside. He was sitting behind his desk. He didn't look up. "You're Arya Mitchell," he said. "Yes, sir." "How long have you worked for me, Arya?" "4 months, sir." 4 months. He still didn't look up. He was writing something, his pen moving in long, deliberate strokes. "And in 4 months, this is the first time you've been in my office." "Yes, sir." "Why?" I wasn't allowed, sir." "Allowed by whom?" Mrs. Calloway said. "Mrs. Calloway works for me." He set down the pen. He looked up, and Arya forgot how to breathe. She had seen him before. She had seen him from across rooms, from the corners of her eyes, from doorways she ducked into when she heard him coming down a hall. But she had never been looked at by him. Not like this, not the way he was looking at her now, like she was something he had been waiting to see, like she was a question he had finally found the answer to. His eyes were the kind of eyes that made you feel found and hunted at the same time. "Sir," she said. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. I should start cleaning." "In a minute." He leaned back in his chair. "Tell me about yourself, Arya." "There's nothing to tell, sir. Everyone has something to tell." "Not me." He almost smiled, almost. "You're afraid of me." "No, sir. Don't lie to me, not in this house, not in this room. People who lie to me in this room don't usually leave it." Her mouth went dry. I'm a little afraid, yes." "Better." He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Sit." "Sir, I really should." "Sit, Arya." She sat. She didn't know why she sat. Her legs just did it. Her body just obeyed. Some part of her that wasn't connected to her brain decided that when Dante Valentino said, "Sit," you sat. "Tell me why you took this job," he said. "Sir, Timmy, this job, cleaning my house, the pay is unusual for a domestic position. We both know that. Why did you take it?" She swallowed. "My mother is sick." "Sick? How? Cancer." "What stage?" 4. He went still. Not the stillness of a man who didn't care. The stillness of a man who was paying very, very close attention. "How long have they given her?" 6 months. They told us 6 months a year ago." "So she's defying them." "She's trying. And you're trying with her." It wasn't a question. He said it like he'd already figured it out, like he'd been turning her life over in his head for a while now. "2 jobs. I checked. You also work nights at a diner 3 blocks from your apartment." "Is that right?" She felt the blood drain from her face. How do you know where I know everything that happens in this house, Arya. And I know everything about the people who work in it." He picked his pen up again, turned it slowly between his fingers. "You should know that about me." "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you check on me? You're not just anything. Don't ever say that in front of me again." The silence that came next felt heavy enough to crush her. She did not understand what was happening. She did not understand why a man like Dante Valentino, a man whose name she had only heard whispered, man people crossed themselves when they spoke about, would know how many jobs she worked, would know where her mother was dying, would call her into his office at 6 in the morning and tell her she was not just anything. "Sir," she said, "I don't understand what you want from me. Don't you know?" He looked at her for a long moment. Then he opened a drawer in his desk and took out an envelope. He set it on the desk between them. "Open it." "What is it?" "Open it, Arya." She picked it up. Her hands were shaking, and she hated that, but she couldn't stop them. She lifted the flap. Inside was a folded piece of paper, a letter on letterhead from the cancer center on Madison. Her mother's name was at the top. Treatment authorization. Full coverage. Experimental program not covered by any insurance she knew of. Effective immediately. Cost $0. Arya's hands stopped shaking. They went numb. "Sir," she said, "don't." "Sir, I can't." "Don't refuse it. Don't insult me by refusing it. I can't pay you back for this. Not in 100 years. Do you know what this cost? Do you know?" I know what it costs. Then why? Because you needed it. He said it simply like it was the most obvious thing in the world. And I had it. She stared at him. There was something in his face she couldn't read. Something that wasn't kindness exactly. Something that was harder than kindness, sharper than a kindness, but moving in the same direction. Like kindness with teeth. Sir, she said carefully, people don't do things like this. Not for nothing. You're correct. The room got very quiet. Then what do you want? Her voice was barely above a whisper. He looked at her for a very long time. I haven't decided yet. She didn't know what to say to that. She didn't know what to say to any of it. Her hand was still holding the letter. Her mother's salvation. A piece of paper worth more than every paycheck Arya would earn in her entire life. Now, he said, you can clean. She stood up on legs that didn't feel like hers. She started cleaning. She didn't know how she did it. Her hands moved on their own, dusting, polishing, emptying the trash, doing all the small, invisible motions she had done 1,000 times in 1,000 other rooms. And the whole time she could feel his eyes on her. Not moving, not looking away, just watching. When she finished, she stood by the door with the cart. Will that be all, sir, for today? She nodded. She turned to leave. Arya, she stopped. She didn't turn around. Yes, sir. You'll come back tomorrow. It wasn't a question. Yes, sir. And the day after that? Yes, sir. Good girl. She walked out of his office, and she did not let herself cry until she was in the bathroom on the second floor. Then she locked the door and sat down on the floor and pressed the envelope against her chest and sobbed, not from sadness, not from fear, but from something so tangled and overwhelming that she didn't have a name for it. Her mother was going to live. A man who terrified her had decided that her mother was going to live, and he had not yet told her what she was going to owe him for it. That night, when she got home, she didn't tell her mother about the letter right away. She sat at the kitchen table and she stared at it, and she tried to understand what had happened to her, and she couldn't. People didn't just save your mother's life, not for nothing. Not unless they wanted something they hadn't asked for yet. She thought about Sophia's voice that morning. He doesn't request things, not unless he wants something. She thought about the way he had looked at her. She thought about Good Girl. And some part of her, some small, stupid, traitorous part of her that she would deny existed if anyone ever asked her, thought about the fact that no one had ever looked at her like that before in her entire life. Like she was seen, like she mattered, like she was the answer to a question. She pushed the thought away. She told herself it didn't mean anything. She told herself she was tired and overwhelmed and grateful, and that gratitude was making her stupid. She told herself she was going to keep her head down and clean his office and never, ever forget what kind of man he was. The next morning, she went back to the Valentino estate. Dante was waiting for her. He had a cup of coffee on the corner of his desk. Black, the way she drank hers. She didn't know how he knew that, and she didn't ask because she was beginning to understand that asking how Dante Valentino knew things about her was a question with answers she did not want. Sit down, Arya. She sat. Drink your coffee. She drank it. How is your mother this morning? She's better. The treatment, the new medication they started yesterday afternoon, she slept for the first time in weeks. Good. Mr. Valentino. Dante. Sir. In this room, you call me Dante. I can't. You can. She looked down at her coffee. Dante. The way he exhaled when she said it was something she would think about for a long, long time afterward. It wasn't quite a sigh. It wasn't quite a sound at all. It was the sound of a man who had been waiting to hear something and had finally heard it. There, he said softly. Was that so hard? What is this? She whispered. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? I told you yesterday I haven't decided. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have right now. Then I want a different one. He almost smiled again. You're braver than you look, Arya Mitchell. I'm not brave. I'm scared. There's a difference. Sometimes. He stood up. He came around the desk. He stopped in front of her chair, and she did not look up because she could not make herself look up. Sometimes there isn't. He reached down, and with one finger he tilted her chin up. His hand was warm. His eyes were not. Listen to me very carefully, he said, his voice quiet and even. You are always going to keep coming to this office every morning. You are going to drink your coffee. You are going to talk to me. You are not going to be afraid of me now the way you're afraid of me right now. Do you understand? I don't know if I can stop being afraid of you. Try. Why? He looked at her for a long, long time. And then he said the thing that would echo in her head for weeks, the thing she would think about every night when she went home, every morning when she woke up, every time she walked through his front door. Because Arya, he said softly, I have decided what I want. I just haven't decided yet how I'm going to take it. He let go of her chin. He went back to his side of the desk. He picked up his pen. You can start cleaning now, he said. And Arya Mitchell, 23 years old daughter of a dying woman, the invisible girl in the uniform sat very still in her chair with her coffee in her hands, and she understood for the first time that she had walked into a room 4 months ago that she was never ever going to walk out of. The coffee on the corner of his desk became a ritual. Every morning at 6, Arya Mitchell walked into Dante Valentino's office, and every morning the coffee was already there, black, steaming, waiting for her like it knew her name. She told herself she hated it. She told herself she would not drink it. And every morning she sat down in that chair and wrapped her cold hands around the cup, and she drank. You're late today, Dante said on the 7th morning, by 2 minutes. The bus was late, sir. Dante. Better. He didn't look up from his papers. I don't like waiting, Arya. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be on time. She nodded. She didn't trust her voice. There was something about the way he said her name, the way he stretched the second syllable, the way it sounded in his mouth like he had been practicing it, that made her stomach turn over in a way she did not want to examine. How is your mother? She's eating again. She kept down a whole bowl of soup last night. Good. The doctor said her white count is up. He said it's the best response he's seen in... I don't need the medical report, Arya. I just thought you'd want to... I want to know that she's better. That's all. He finally looked up at her and the look was steady and unreadable. Are you better? The question caught her off guard. Me? You look tired. I'm always tired, sir. Dante, you're working 2 jobs. Yes. I've decided you're going to quit the diner. She froze with the coffee cup halfway to her mouth. What? The diner. Quit it today. I can't. You can. Mr. Valentino, Dante, I need that money. The medication is covered, yes, thank God, but the rent isn't. The food isn't. The electric bill isn't. I can't just... Your salary here is being doubled. Effective this morning. The cup almost slipped out of her hand. What? You heard me? You can't just... That isn't why... He set down his pen. Because I don't like the way you look when you walk in here, Arya. I don't like the circles under your eyes. I don't like the way you flinch every time the door opens behind you. I don't like that you weigh less than you did 4 months ago. I noticed. You noticed? I notice everything about you. She set the coffee cup down carefully because she did not trust her hands anymore. Dante, she said, and her voice was very small. You have to stop. Stop what? This. Whatever this is. The treatment, the raise, the noticing. You have to stop. People are talking about me. Sophia, the other girls, they whisper when I walk by. They think you're what, Arya? She couldn't say it. She looked at her hands. Say it, he said quietly. They think I'm sleeping with you. And are you? Oh, no. Then who cares what they think? I care. He stood up. She watched his shadow cross the desk. She watched his shoes stop in front of her chair. And then he was crouched down in front of her, his face level with hers, and his hand was on the arm of her chair, not touching her, but close enough that she could feel the heat of him. Look at me, he said. She looked at him. They are staff, Arya. They are people who clean my floors and serve my food and live their small, frightened, gossiping lives in the corners of my house. You are not one of them. Do you understand me? I am one of them. I clean your floors too. No, you don't. Yes, you will not be cleaning anything starting tomorrow. She stared at him. What did you just say? You heard me. Then what am I doing? Why am I coming here? What is my job? He looked at her for a long moment. Your job, he said softly, is to drink your coffee with me every morning. Your job is to tell me about your mother. Your job is to sit in that chair in that uniform if you want in something else, if you'd prefer, and let me look at you while I work." She made a sound. She didn't know what kind of sound. It wasn't quite a laugh and it wasn't quite a sweep. "That isn't a job, Dante." "It is now. People don't pay people to sit in a chair." "I do. This isn't normal." "I never said it was." She stood up so fast the coffee cup tipped. He caught it. Of course he caught it. His hand moved like a snake's, fast and silent, and he set the cup back on the desk without spilling a drop. And he looked up at her from where he was still crouched, and there was something in his eyes that was not hunting, and not kindness, and not anger, but something underneath all of those things, something older. "I have to go," she said. "Aria, I have to go, Dante. Please, please, just let me go. You're free to leave the room. I mean, leave the house. I mean, leave the bar. I mean, no." He stood up slowly. He was so much taller than her standing up. She had forgotten. "That part is not on the table. You can't make me work for you. I'm not making you. You're choosing. How is this a choice? You can walk out that door right now. Nothing will happen to you. Your mother's treatment is paid for through the end of the program. I won't take it back. I'm not that kind of man." She stared at him. "What kind of man are you?" "I'm the kind of man who tells the truth, Arya. I'm telling you the truth right now. You can leave. Today, this morning, and I will let you go. But I don't think you want to. You don't know what I want." "I think I do." The silence between them was unbearable. "I want to go home," she whispered. "I want to take care of my mother. I want my old life back. I want to be invisible again." "You were never invisible to me." "That is the problem, Dante." She turned. She walked to the door. Her hand was on the handle. She had it half open. She was going to leave. She was going to walk out and never come back. She was going to take the money he had already given her, mother, and she was going to disappear into the part of the city where men like him didn't go, and she was going to be fine, Arya. She didn't turn around. "What, tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock?" She closed her eyes. "I won't be here." "You will." "Why?" "Because some part of you wants to be." She opened the door. She walked out. She did not slam it. She wanted to, but she didn't. And the next morning at 6 o'clock, she was back in his office. She hated herself for it. She had cried half the night. She had told herself 100 times that she would not go. She had picked up her phone twice and started to text Mrs. Calloway that she was quitting. She had sat on the edge of her bed at 4 in the morning with her uniform in her hands, and she had whispered, "Don't go, don't go, don't go." And then she had gone. He didn't say "I told you so" when she walked in. He didn't smile. He didn't even look up. He just slid the coffee across the desk toward her like nothing had happened, and he said, "How did she sleep?" "Better," Arya said quietly. "Good." She sat down. She drank her coffee. Her hands were not shaking, and she didn't know if that was a victory or a defeat. "I quit the diner," she said. "I know. They called me last night." "Why would they call you?" "They called the house, the number you left as your alternate contact. Mrs. Calloway forwarded it to me. You're not my alternate contact." "I am now." She closed her eyes. "Dante." "Yes, Arya. You're scaring me." "I know. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with you. I don't know what you want from me, and you keep saying you haven't decided, but I don't believe you." He put down his pen. "You're right. I have decided. I just haven't told you yet." Her breath caught. "Why, because you're not ready." "When will I be ready as soon?" She set the coffee down. Her hands were shaking now. "Tell me anyway." "No. Tell me." "Drink your coffee, Arya." She didn't drink her coffee. She stood up. She walked around to his side of the desk. She had never done that before. She didn't know where the courage came from, except it wasn't courage. It was something closer to desperation, the kind of desperation that makes small animals snap at things much larger than themselves. She stopped in front of him. She looked down at him in his chair. "Tell me what you want from me, Dante. I am tired of being afraid of an answer I don't know." He looked up at her. He reached out, slowly. He took her hand. His thumb moved across her knuckles. I want all of you, he said. I have wanted all of you since the morning I saw you in the hallway 4 months ago in that uniform with your hair falling out of that ridiculous knot. You put it in looking like you hadn't slept and didn't know that you were the most beautiful thing in this entire house. I want your mornings. I want your nights. I want your mother to live so that you don't have a single thing in this world to grieve except the parts of your old life you're going to leave behind for me. I want you in this office every morning, and I want you in my house every night, and I want everyone who has ever made you feel like nothing to spend the rest of their lives knowing that you belong to me. That is what I want, Arya. She could not breathe. That is not love, she whispered. I didn't say it was. That is not what people do. I am not people. She tried to pull her hand back. He didn't let her. Dante, let go. He let go. She stepped back. She bumped into the corner of the desk. She put a hand on it to steady herself. You can't have me, she said. You can't say something like that to a person and expect them to. I'm not expecting anything, Arya. I am telling you there is a difference. What is the difference? Expecting is for men who don't know what they want. Telling is for men who already know they're going to get it. You won't get me. We'll see. She walked out of the office. She walked down the hallway. She passed Sophia in the corridor, and Sophia looked at her face and stopped smirking for the first time in a week, because whatever Sophia saw in Arya's face wasn't funny anymore. Arya, Sophia said, are you okay? Arya didn't answer. She kept walking. She made it to the bathroom. She made it to the stall. She sat down on the closed toilet lid, and she put her face in her hands, and she did not cry. She didn't cry because she was not sad. She was something else, and she didn't have a name for it, and she was afraid to name it. Because somewhere inside her, in some buried, terrified, starving place, she had heard him say, I want all of you, and a part of her had not been horrified. A part of her had been seen. And that part of her, that small, treacherous part, was the part she was most afraid of. She didn't go back to his office for 2 days. She called in sick. She told Mrs. Calloway it was the flu. Mrs. Calloway didn't ask questions. Mrs. Calloway never asked questions anymore when it came to Arya Mitchell. For 2 days, Arya stayed home with her mother, and she pretended she was fine, and she made soup, and she answered her phone every time it rang and held her breath until she saw it wasn't him. He didn't call. That was almost worse. On the second night, her mother caught her staring at the wall. Arya, Eleanor said softly, baby, what's wrong? Nothing, Mama. Don't lie to me. I'm dying. I can tell when my own daughter is lying. Mama, don't say that. You're not dying. The treatment is working. The doctor said. Arya. She looked at her mother. What is going on at that house? Arya opened her mouth. She closed it. She opened it again. Mama, she said, if I tell you, you have to promise you won't be scared. I'm already scared, baby. I've been scared since the day you took that job. There's a man, Arya said. His name is Dante Valentino. Eleanor's eyes went wide. He's been kind to me. He's the one who got you the treatment. He paid for everything. Eleanor's hand flew to her mouth. Oh, Arya. Mama. Oh, Arya, no. Mama, listen to me. Do you know who that family is? Do you know what they do? I know. They are not kind men, baby. They are not kind. Whatever he is doing for me, whatever he is doing for you, he is not doing it because he is kind. I know. Then why are you still going? Arya didn't answer because the only honest answer was the one she could not say out loud, not to her mother, not to herself, not to anyone, which was that some part of her did not want to stop going. Some part of her wanted to know what would happen next. Some part of her had been invisible her whole life, and a man had finally seen her. And even though that man was a monster, she did not know how to walk away from being seen. Mama, she said, he hasn't hurt me. He hasn't touched me. He wants me near him. That's all. Arya, my love, that is how it starts. How what starts? Eleanor took her daughter's hand in both of hers. Her hands were so thin, so fragile. Arya could feel every bone. I knew a man like that once, Eleanor whispered. Long before your father. A long time ago. And he started with a cup of coffee and he ended with everything I had. And I am telling you, baby, I am telling you with my whole heart, get out. Get out now. Before he tells you what he wants from you. Arya didn't say anything. She didn't say, He already told me. She didn't say I don't know how to want my old life back. She didn't say I'm afraid of him, but I'm more afraid of the woman I'm becoming when I'm with him. She just squeezed her mother's face in and she said, I'll be careful, Mama. Promise me. I promise. She kept that promise for exactly 12 hours. The next morning at 5:45, she was on the bus to the Valentino estate. She walked into his office at 6 o'clock exactly. The coffee was waiting on the desk. He looked up when she came in. He didn't smile. He didn't say, I knew you'd come back. He didn't say anything for a long moment. And then he said very quietly, don't disappear on me again, Arya. I wasn't disappearing. You were. I was thinking. And what did you decide? She sat down. She picked up the coffee. Her hands were almost steady. I decided that I am still afraid of you. And I decided that being afraid of you is not the worst thing in my life. He watched her over his desk. What is the worst thing, he asked. She looked at him. Being afraid of me, she said, when I'm with you. His expression did not change, but something in his eyes did. Arya. Yes, Dante. That, he said softly, is the most dangerous thing you have ever said in this room. I know. Do you? Oh, yes. He stood up. He came around the desk. He stopped in front of her chair. He did not crouch down this time. He held out his hand. Come here, he said. And after a moment that felt like a lifetime, a moment in which she heard her mother's voice, get out, get out, get out. And she heard Sophia's laugh and she heard her own heart pounding so loud it filled the entire room. Arya Mitchell put down her coffee cup and she took his hand and she stood up and she let him pull her toward him. He didn't kiss her. He just put his hand on the back of her neck and he held her there, his forehead almost touching hers, his breath warm against her face, and he said, you are mine now, Arya. You don't have to say it back. You don't have to understand it yet, but you are. And every morning that you walk through that door, you are choosing it. Do you hear me? She didn't say anything. She just nodded. Once. And he closed his eyes when she did. Like a man who had been holding his breath for 4 months and had finally been allowed to exhale. That nod changed everything. Arya didn't realize it at first. She walked out of his office that morning and her hands were trembling and her lips were tingling from a kiss that had not happened, and she told herself nothing had really changed. He had not kissed her. He had not touched her, not really. He had only held her there for a moment and then let her go, and she had walked back out into the hallway and gone home to her mother and made dinner like she always did. But something had changed. Because the next morning when she walked into his office, there was a dress on the back of the chair where she always sat. She stopped in the doorway. Dante, she said carefully. Good morning, Arya. What is that? It's a dress. I can see that. Why is it on my chair? Because I bought it for you. She looked at him. He was writing the way he always was at 6 in the morning, his pen moving in those long, deliberate strokes she had memorized without meaning to. I'm not wearing that. I'm here to work, Dante. Are you? Yes. What work exactly? She didn't answer. He looked up at her then, and his face was soft in a way that made her stomach hurt because soft on him was somehow worse than hard. Arya, come sit down. Drink your coffee. Not until you tell me about the dress. There's nothing to tell. I bought it. It's yours. Wear it. Don't wear it. Throw it in the river. I don't care. You do care. Of course I do. I want to see you in it. But I'm not going to make you. We've been over this. She walked over to the chair. She picked up the dress. It was simple, dark green soft fabric, the kind of dress she would have stopped to look at in a window once and then walked away from because she could never afford it. She didn't know how he knew her size. She wasn't going to ask. She was tired of asking how he knew things. She set it on his desk. Take it back, she said. No. Dante. I said no, Arya. Then I'm leaving it here. That's fine. She sat down. She drank her coffee. She didn't look at the dress and he didn't look at her, and neither of them said anything for a long time. And then he said without looking up, your mother has an appointment on Thursday. Her head snapped up. How do you know that? Because I scheduled it. I'm sending a car. The hospital is too far for her to take a cab and the bus is out of the question. The car will be at your apartment at 9. The driver's name is Marco. He'll wait for her, take her home, and call me when she's safe inside. Do you understand? She set down her coffee. She closed her eyes. Dante, what? You can't keep doing this. I'm taking care of her. You're taking care of me, Tessing. I'm doing both. They're the same thing. She opened her eyes. He was still writing. They are not the same thing, she said. She is my mother, and I am whatever I am to you, but we are not the same person, and you cannot just... Arya, what? He set down the pen. He folded his hands on the desk. Last night, your mother coughed for 2 hours straight. Did you know that? She went very still. How do you know that? Because the new home health aide called me and told me. The one who started yesterday. The one who is now sleeping in your living room. The blood drained out of her face. You hired a... She started last night while you were asleep. Your mother let her in. I told the agency to introduce themselves quietly so they wouldn't wake you. You were in my apartment. No, the aide was in your apartment. I was in this house on the phone. Dante, you cannot just send strangers into where I live. She's not a stranger. She's a registered nurse. She's licensed. She's bonded. She has worked for my family for 6 years, and your mother shook her hand and called her dear and asked her if she wanted some of the soup you made for dinner. She is fine, Arya. She is better than fine. She slept through the night for the first time in months because someone was there to give her the cough syrup at 2 in the morning when you were too exhausted to wake up. Arya stared at him. She was crying. She didn't know when she had started crying. The tears were just on her face, now hot and silent, and she didn't reach up to wipe them. You can't keep saving me, she whispered. I'm not saving you. I'm taking care of what's mine. I am not yours. You said you were, yesterday. You nodded. I didn't say anything. You nodded, Arya, in this room, with my hand on the back of your neck. You nodded and I let you walk out of here, and I have spent every minute since then asking myself whether you meant it. And then I decided I didn't care if you meant it. Because you are going to mean it, eventually. Dante, wear the dress tomorrow, or don't. I told you, I don't care. She stood up. Her hands were shaking so hard she almost knocked the coffee cup over. I have to go. Go. I can't do this today. Go, Arya. She went. But that night when she got home, the apartment smelled like soup she hadn't made, and the lamp by her mother's bed was on, and there was a woman in scrubs sitting in the kitchen reading a paperback, and the woman looked up and smiled and said, You must be Arya. Your mother has been telling me about you for an hour. And Arya stood in her own doorway and she did not know whether to scream or to fall to her knees. Her mother called from the bedroom, Baby, is that you? It's me, Mama. She went in. Her mother was sitting up against 3 pillows. She looked God. She looked better. Her cheeks had color. Her eyes were clear. She was holding a cup of tea and her hands were not shaking the way they had been for months. Arya, her mother whispered, sit down. Mama, sit down, baby, please. Arya sat down on the edge of the bed. He sent her, Eleanor said softly. Didn't he? Yes. She's a good woman. She's been so kind. She made me eat. I ate Arya, a whole bowl, and she changed my sheets. And she helped me bathe, and I haven't bathed in a week, baby. You didn't have to know that, but I haven't, and I felt so clean afterward. So clean, like a person again. Arya put her face in her hands. Mama, please. I told you he was not a kind man. Yes, you did. And I still believe that, Arya, I still do. But baby, listen to me. Her mother's hand reached out and touched her hair. There are men who do kind things because they are kind. And there are men who do kind things because they have decided to. And those men, baby, those men are more dangerous than any other kind of man in the world. Because what they decide to do for you, they will undecide. And when they undecide, there is no one left to help you. I know, Mama. Do you Yes. Then why are you crying, baby? Arya didn't answer. She didn't answer because the truth was she wasn't crying about Dante exactly. She was crying because her mother had been bathed today and someone else had done it and her mother had felt clean for the first time in a week. And Arya had not been the one to give her that. And Arya had spent every minute of the last year killing herself to give her mother things she could not give her, and a man had snapped his fingers and given her mother all of them in a single night. And Arya did not know how to be angry about that and grateful for it at the same time. I'm tired, Mama, she finally said. I'm so tired. I know, baby. I don't know what to do. I know. He told me I'm his. Eleanor was very quiet for a long moment. And what did you tell him? I didn't tell him anything. Arya. What? That is an answer, baby. Saying nothing to a man like that is an answer. Arya knew it was. That was why she was crying. She went to bed that night and she stared at the ceiling for 2 hours. And at 3 in the morning, she got up and she opened her closet and she took out the dress she had not been able to leave on his desk after all the ones she had folded into her bag on the way out of his office, telling herself she was just going to return it tomorrow, telling herself she didn't even like it. She held the dress against her chest. She put it back in the closet. She lay down again. She did not sleep. The next morning she wore the dress. She told herself 100 lies on the way to the estate. She told herself it was because her uniform was in the wash. She told herself it was because she was tired of being stared at. She told herself it was because the dress was warmer than her old coat. She walked into his office at 6 o'clock. He looked up. He went still. He did not say anything for what felt like a year. Arya, he finally said, don't. I wasn't going to say anything. Yes, you were. I was going to say good morning. Liar. He almost smiled. How is she this morning? She slept 8 hours. She ate breakfast. The nurse, she's still there. She wants to stay. Then she'll stay. Dante. Yes. Thank you. It was the first time she had said it. He looked at her for a long moment. You don't have to thank me, Arya. I do, though. Why? Because if I don't say it out loud, I am going to forget that you have done a kind thing. And I cannot afford to forget that. I have to remember it. I have to. He nodded slowly. Sit down. She sat. Drink your coffee. She drank. And then he said very quietly, Arya, I have to go to New York for 3 days. She set the cup down. When? Tonight. Why? Business. What kind of business? The kind I don't talk about in this room. With me, you mean? With anyone. She nodded slowly. All right. Arya. What? While I'm gone, I want you to stay in this house. She blinked. What? There is a guest room on the second floor. It's been prepared for you. The nurse will continue with your mother. She will have everything she needs. The car will bring her here on Sunday so the two of you can have lunch together in the dining room. I want you here while I'm gone. Dante, I have a home. You have an apartment with a broken radiator and a lock that doesn't work properly, and a neighbor who knocks on your door at midnight when he's drunk. I know about all of these things. I know about all of them. And I am not leaving for 3 days with you in that apartment. You're not leaving me anywhere. I am not a coat you hang up. You don't get to... I'm asking, Arya. I'm not telling. I'm asking. Are you... Yes. And if I say no, he was silent for a moment. Then you say no and I leave. And I worry about you for 3 days. She stared at him. She did not know this man. She did not know the man who said he was asking. She had only ever known the one who told. Why, she said. Why are you asking? Because. He looked at her steadily. I am trying to do this right, Arya, even though I do not know how. She felt something break inside her chest, quietly, like a thin piece of glass. All right, she whispered. All right, what? I'll stay. He closed his eyes for a moment. Just a moment. And then he opened them and they were the same eyes as always, hard and sharp and watching. But for that 1 second, she had seen something underneath. She had seen a man who was relieved. A man like Dante Valentino did not feel relief. She looked away. I'll need to go home and pack. Marco will take you. And my mother will be on her way here within the hour. With the nurse. I want her in the house too. I want her safe while I'm gone. You're moving us into your house. For 3 days. Dante, for 3 days. That's what I said. She laughed a little because she didn't know what else to do. You are completely insane, she said. Yes. You know that, don't you? Yes, Arya. And you don't care. Not when it comes to you. Her laugh died. He stood up. He came around the desk again. He did not touch her this time. He just stood near her chair, his hands in his pockets, looking down at her in the dress he had bought her. I have to leave at 8 tonight, he said. I will be back Friday morning. When I walk into this office on Friday, I want to see you sitting in that chair, drinking coffee in another dress I have not bought you yet. Dante. Yes, Arya. What is going to happen when you come back? He looked at her for a long time. What do you want to happen? I asked first. I'm asking now. She did not answer right away. She thought about her mother in a clean bed. She thought about the house she was going to sleep in for 3 nights, a house she could not have imagined 2 months ago. She thought about the dress she was wearing. She thought about the way she had nodded with his hand on the back of her neck and how she had felt for the first time in her entire adult life taken care of. And she thought about her mother's voice. That is how it starts. I don't know, she said honestly. I don't know what I want anymore, Dante. That's the worst part. I used to know. I used to want my mother to live, and I used to want to pay the rent, and I used to want to get through the day. And now you have taken all of those wants away from me. And I am standing here in a dress I didn't buy in a room I shouldn't be in, and I do not know what I want anymore. So I am asking you, what is going to happen when you come back? He was quiet for a long time, and then he said very softly, when I come back, Arya, I am going to ask you a question. And the answer to that question is going to change your life. And I want you to spend these 3 days thinking about it. Because I don't want you to answer me on impulse, and I don't want you to answer me out of fear, and I don't want you to answer me out of gratitude. I want you to answer me because you have looked at every part of your life and you have decided. What is the question? You know what the question is? She did. God help her. She did. She didn't answer him. She just stood up. She picked up her coffee cup. She turned to go. At the door, she stopped. Dante. Yes. Be safe in New York. He looked up. He looked at her like she had just done something he had not expected. I always am, he said. No, she said quietly. You're not. You're a man who walks into rooms where people don't come back out. So please, be safe. She walked out. She did not see him pick up the coffee cup she had left on his desk and hold it for a long time, his thumb running across the rim where her mouth had been. She did not see his hand shake. Just a little. Just for a second. She did not see the man who never felt anything sit alone in his office for an hour after she left, looking at a dress he had bought, a girl who did not yet know that he had already decided he was going to put a baby in her before the year was out. She did not see any of that. She just went home to pack. She packed a bag that didn't make sense. 2 pairs of jeans she would never wear in his house. The one nice sweater she owned, her mother's old rosary because she didn't know why, a book she hadn't read in 2 years. Her uniform folded carefully because some part of her still believed that on Friday morning she was going to walk back into his office and tell him she was a maid. Just a maid, and she always had been. Marco was waiting downstairs. Miss Mitchell, he said when she opened the door. He was older than she expected, maybe 60. He had kind eyes. Mr. Valentino sent me to bring you and your mother to the house. My mother she's in there with the nurse. She doesn't know what's happening yet. I haven't told her. Take your time. Thank you. She went in. Her mother was sitting up in bed, the nurse beside her, both of them laughing at something. Mama. Eleanor looked up. Her smile faded. What is it, baby? He wants us to come to his house. For 3 days. He's going out of town and he doesn't want us here alone. The nurse stood up quietly and stepped out of the room. Eleanor was silent for a long moment. Arya. Mama, please don't. Are you asking me or telling me? Arya didn't answer. Because if you are asking me, her mother said softly, I am telling you no. I am telling you we have a home and that home is here and we will not be moved from it like furniture. Mama. And if you are telling me baby, then I am asking you what has happened to my daughter. What has happened to the girl who would not even take a free coffee from a man she didn't know? Arya sat down on the edge of the bed. I don't know, Mama. Yes, you do. I don't. Arya, look at me. She looked at her mother. He is asking me to come for 3 days, she said. Just 3. The nurse will be there. There will be other people in the house. He will not even be there himself. He is going to New York. He doesn't want us alone. That's what he said. And you believe him? I believe that's what he said. Eleanor reached up and put her thin hand on her daughter's cheek. Baby, you are already gone. Do you know that, Mama? You are already gone from me. I can see it. He has already taken you and you don't even know it yet. He hasn't taken anything. He has taken your no Arya. That is the first thing they take. And once it is gone, baby, you do not get it back. Not ever. Arya was crying again. She was so tired of crying. Mama, if I say no to him about this, I don't know what happens. I don't know what kind of man he is when someone says no. Then he is not a man worth saying yes to. He paid for your treatment. He did. He sent the nurse. He did. He doubled my pay so I could quit the diner. Yes. And every single one of those things, Mama, every one of them has made our life better. Has made your life better. You are eating, Mama. You are sleeping. You are talking to me again. You haven't talked to me like this since before the diagnosis. I know. So how do I say no to a man who has done all of that? You say it with your mouth, Arya, the same way you say no to anyone. And then what? And then we live with whatever comes next, together, the way we have lived through everything else. Arya looked at her mother. She looked at her for a long, long time, and she said, I'm sorry, Mama. I have to go. Her mother's hand fell away from her cheek. Arya, I have to go and you have to come with me because I cannot leave you here alone and I cannot say no to him. Not yet. I'm sorry, I don't know how. I don't know how to say no. I don't know how anymore. Eleanor did not cry. She just looked at her daughter with the kind of eyes a mother has when she is watching something be lost and there is nothing she can do about it. All right, she finally said. All right, baby, I'll come. Mama, I'll come because I love you, not because I forgive you for asking. Do you understand the difference? Yes. Good. The Valentino house at night was different from the Valentino house at 6 in the morning. Arya had never seen it like this. She had only ever seen it through the back staff entrance in her uniform with a cart of supplies in front of her. She had never walked through the front door before. She had never seen the chandelier in the foyer turned down low. She had never heard the hush of it, the kind of hush that costs money, the kind of hush that is paid for. Mrs. Calloway met her in the foyer. The woman's face was a careful professional blank. Miss Mitchell, she said. Not Arya, not anymore. Miss Mitchell, your room is ready. Your mother's room is on the same floor. The nurse will stay with her tonight, and there is a button by your mother's bed if she needs anything in the night. The kitchen is open to you. Anything you want, you ask. Anyone in the house, we are all here for you. Mrs. Calloway, Arya said quietly, please. Yes, Miss Mitchell. Don't call me that. It is what Mr. Valentino has instructed. I'm asking you, as a person, please. The older woman was silent for a long moment, and then she said very quietly, Arya, listen to me. Yes, he has had me prepare this room 3 times before. Arya's stomach dropped. What? In the 8 years I have run this house, 3 other women have stayed in that room. Briefly. They did not stay long. I do not know what happened to them. I never ask. I am telling you this because I have a daughter your age, and I am telling you this because no one ever told me when I was young the things I am telling you now. Arya could not breathe. What happened to them? I do not know. Mrs. Calloway. I do not know, Arya. That is what I am telling you. They came, they stayed, they left, and I never saw them again. And I do not ask. Are they? I do not know if they are alive. I do not know if they are dead. I do not know if they took money and went home and married plumbers and have children now. I do not know any of it. That is the point. That is the point. He does not leave a trail. Do you understand what I am telling you? Arya nodded slowly. She could not speak. Now, Mrs. Calloway said, and her voice was professional again, your room is upstairs. Marco will bring up your bag. Dinner is at 7. Mr. Valentino has already left for the airport. He asked me to give you this. She held out an envelope. Arya took it. Good night, Miss Mitchell. Mrs. Calloway. Yes. Thank you. The older woman just nodded once and walked away. Arya did not open the envelope until she was alone in the room upstairs. Her mother was already settled with the nurse next door. The bag Marco had carried up was sitting on the bed she did not yet think of as hers. She sat down beside it and her hands were steady. For the first time in a week, her hands were completely steady, and she opened the envelope. There was a single sheet of paper, his handwriting. She had only seen it once before on a note pinned to her coffee cup last Tuesday that said, drink it before it gets cold. The note in her hand said, Arya, there is a closet in the room that is full of things I bought for you. I bought them weeks ago. I bought them before I told you anything. I bought them the morning after I first watched you walk through the hallway in that uniform with your hair coming undone. You can wear them or not wear them. You can throw them away. You can leave them hanging there for the next girl. Although I am telling you now, there will not be a next girl. I am telling you that, Arya, because by the time you read this, I will be on a plane and I will not be there to lie to you in person. So I will tell you the truth on paper. There has not been a girl in that room for 2 years, and there will never be another one after you. I have decided. D. Arya read it 3 times. Then she folded it in half and folded it again and pressed it flat against her mouth, and she made a small sound she didn't recognize as her own voice. She thought about the women, the 3 women. She thought about the closet full of clothes he had bought for her weeks before he had ever spoken to her. She thought about a man who decided things and whose decisions did not get unwished. She thought about her mother sleeping next door in clean sheets, eating the food from his kitchen, breathing because of medicine he had paid for. She thought about her own no and where it had gone. She did not sleep that night. She walked through the room. She opened the closet. There were dresses in there. She would have laughed at dresses. She would never have dreamed of dresses with tags still on them in her exact size. There were shoes. There were coats. There was a single string of pearls in a velvet box on the top shelf, and she did not touch it because she understood somehow that the pearls were the question he was going to ask her on Friday, and she was not ready to put her hand on the answer yet. She went and sat with her mother for a while. Eleanor was awake. "Mama," Arya whispered, "come here, baby." She climbed into the bed, the way she had when she was small. She put her head on her mother's shoulder, and her mother's thin arm went around her, and they did not speak for a long time. "Mama," Arya finally said, "there were other women." "I know, baby." "How did you know?" "There are always other women with men like that. There are always others before. The trick, baby, is to find out whether there will be others after." "He said there won't." "They always say that." "He wrote it down, Mama, on paper." "Then he is a clever man, Arya, cleverer than the ones before. That does not mean he is a better one." "Mama." "Yes, baby. I think I am falling in love with him." Her mother did not answer for a long time, and then she said very softly, "I know, baby. I have known for a week." "How?" "Because you said his name twice in your sleep 3 nights ago, and you did not say it like a person says the name of someone they are afraid of. You said it like a person says the name of someone they are losing themselves to." "Mama, what do I do?" "I don't know, baby." "You always know." "Not this time." Arya closed her eyes. "He's going to ask me something on Friday." "What is he going to ask you?" "I think he's going to ask me to be his." "Baby, you already are." "I know." "He is going to ask you to say you are. That is different. Don't pretend it isn't." "I won't, Mama." "And what are you going to say?" Arya did not answer. She did not answer because she did not yet know. She fell asleep there in her mother's bed, the same way she had fallen asleep there as a child. And in the morning when she woke up, her mother was already awake, watching her, and there was something in Eleanor's face that Arya had not seen since before the diagnosis. Her mother looked peaceful. "Mama, I'm here, baby. You look better." "I feel better, Arya. I feel like a person again. I'm so glad." "Listen to me, baby. While I am still able to say it clearly, are you listening?" "Yes, Mama." "If you say yes to him on Friday, I will not stop you. I want you to know that. I will not fight you. I will not tell you that you are betraying me or yourself or the woman I raised you to be. Because I am dying, baby. Yes, I am. Medicine is working, but I am still dying, just slower now, and I will not spend the time I have left fighting with my only daughter about a man whose money is paying for the air I am breathing. Do you understand me?" "Yes, Mama. But I want you to know one thing. Anything. If you say yes," Eleanor whispered, "you say yes with your eyes open, not your heart, your eyes. Because the heart is going to want to forgive him for things he has not even done yet. The eyes are the only thing that will protect you. Do you promise me?" "Yes, Mama." "Promise me, Arya." "I promise." The 3 days were the longest 3 days of Arya's life. She walked through the house like a ghost. She ate meals she could not taste. She sat with her mother for hours. The nurse kept finding excuses to leave them alone kindly, the way a person who has worked for the family for 6 years has learned to fade in and out of rooms without being asked. On the second day, Sophia came to the house. Arya did not know how. Sophia did not work the night shift, but there she was in the kitchen when Arya came down for a glass of water at 11 at night. Hello, Arya. Sophia. Sleeping in the master's house, I see. I'm in the guest room. I haven't done anything with him, Sophia. Yet. That's none of your business. You're right, it's not. Sophia was leaning against the counter. She had a glass of wine in her hand. She should not have had a glass of wine in her hand. Not in this house, not on staff hours, not in her uniform. Sophia, what are you? He bought you a dress. How do you know that? Because he asked me what size you were. 3 weeks ago. I'm the one who told him. Arya's stomach dropped. What? He came up to me in the hall. He said, Sophia, what size is that little maid with the brown hair, the one who works the third floor? I told him. 6. He said, thank you. He walked away. That was 3 weeks ago, Arya. 3 weeks before you ever set foot in his office. Arya could not speak. I am telling you this, Sophia said, and her voice was not cruel anymore. It was something underneath cruel, something almost gentle. Because I worked here for 2 years before you came, and I have watched him do this twice. And both times the girls were beautiful, and both times the girls were poor, and both times the girls disappeared. And I am tired of pretending I do not know Arya. I am tired of laughing at you in the staff room. I am tired. Sophia, he has been planning you for 3 months, maybe longer. He did not notice you, Arya. He picked you. There is a difference, and I am telling you now because he is in New York and he cannot stop me from telling you. Do whatever you want with this information. I just could not let you say yes to him on Friday without knowing. How do you know about Friday? Sophia smiled. It was a sad smile. Mrs. Calloway told me. Mrs. Calloway tells the women, Arya. She tells them late, but she tells them. She tells them because she has a daughter. She tells them because she remembers what it was like to be young in a house full of men. She tells them because if she does not tell them, no one will. Arya was crying again. I don't know what to do, Sophia. None of us did, Arya. That's why we say yes. She set down her wine glass. She walked out of the kitchen. And Arya stood there alone in a house she did not own, in a robe she did not buy, with a man on his way back from New York, to ask her a question she had been preparing the answer to for 3 days. And she realized standing there that her mother had been right. He had not noticed her. He had picked her. And she had 3 days to decide whether being picked by a man like that was the same thing as being chosen, or whether it was the very opposite and the most dangerous mistake of her life. She went upstairs. She opened the velvet box on the top shelf of the closet. She looked at the pearls. She did not put them on, but she did not put them away either. She left the box open on the dresser, so that when he walked in on Friday morning, the first thing he would see was that she had looked. Friday morning came the way bad news comes slowly, then all at once. Arya was already awake at 4. She had not really slept. She had lain in the bed in the room she did not own, listening to the house, listening to her mother breathing softly through the wall, listening to her own heart beating like something that knew it was about to do a foolish thing. By 5:30 she was dressed, not in his clothes, not in any of the dresses in the closet. She had pulled on her own jeans, her own sweaters, the one she had brought in her bag. She had told herself it was because she had not yet decided. She had told herself a lot of things in 3 days. By 6, she was in his office. The coffee was on the desk. He was not. She sat down. She wrapped her hands around the cup the way she always did. She waited a long time. It was almost 6:30 when she heard his footsteps in the hall. She knew them by now. She had learned them. Slow, even. Heavier on the left foot, just slightly the way a man walks when he is carrying something he does not want anyone to see. The door opened. He stopped. He looked at her. She looked back at him. You're here, he said. I told you I would be. You're not in one of the dresses. No. You looked at the pearls. Yes. You didn't put them on. No. He nodded slowly. He came in. He did not sit behind the desk. He sat down in the other chair, the visitor's chair, the one he had never sat in before in any of their mornings together. He sat there like a man who had decided that today the desk was not what was between them. I have been thinking about you for 3 days, he said. I have been thinking about you for 3 months. He almost smiled. Have you? Yes. That is more than I knew. It's more than I admitted. She set the coffee down. She was not going to drink it. Not today. Today was not a coffee day. Dante? Yes, Arya. Sophia told me. He went very still. Told you what? That you asked her my dress size 3 weeks before you ever spoke to me. That you have been planning this for months, maybe longer. That you did not notice me. That you picked me. He was silent for a long moment. Yes. That's all you're going to say. Yes is the truth, Arya. I'm not going to lie to you on a Friday morning. How long? How long what? How long had you been planning me before you ever made me sit in this chair? He looked at her steadily. 6 months. She closed her eyes. Mrs. Calloway told me about the other women, she said. She told me there were 3 before me. She told me she does not know what happened to them. That is also true. Are they alive, Dante? Yes, all of them. All of them. How do I believe you? Because if I were the kind of man who killed the women he was finished with, Arya, I would not have told you about them in a letter. I would have let you find out on your own. You did not tell me about them. You told me about the room. I told you there would not be a next girl. The implication was clear. You implied something. You did not tell me. There is a difference and you know it. He nodded slowly. Yes, I know it. So tell me now. All right. He folded his hands in his lap. There were 3. The first one took $200,000 and is now married to a dentist in San Diego. She has 2 children. She does not know I know any of this. I check on her once a year because I made her a promise that I would, and I keep my promises. The second one wanted to be an actress. She is one, a small one. You would not know her name. She got the part she wanted. I made 1 phone call. The third one was the most difficult. She did not want money. She did not want a career. She wanted to go home to her family in another country. So I sent her home with everything she would need to never have to come back. She writes me a letter every Christmas. I do not write back. That is what she asked for. Arya stared at him. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked. You have never told anyone any of this, have you? No. Then why now? Because, he looked at her, because you are not the 4th one, Arya, and I want you to understand that. The other 3 were arrangements. They were transactions. They were women who needed something, and I needed a woman, and we made a trade, and the trade ended, and we both walked away with what we agreed to walk away with. That was what they were. I am not ashamed of any of it. They are not either. You can ask them. I will give you their names. Dante, you are not that Arya. What am I then? He was quiet for a long, long time. You are the question I have been afraid to ask my whole life, he said. She put her hand to her mouth. Don't, she whispered. Don't what? Don't say things like that to me. Don't say beautiful things. I am not ready for beautiful things from you. I am still ready for terrible things. I came in here ready for terrible things. I prepared for terrible things. You cannot just sit down in this chair and say something like that. I am sorry. Don't apologize either. What can I do, Arya? Ask me your question, Dante. Ask me your damn question and let me answer it because I cannot sit here for 1 more minute pretending I do not know what you are going to ask. He looked at her. He took her hand. His was steady. Hers was not. Marry me, he said. She had thought it would be a different question. She had thought it would be mine. She had thought it would be, stay with me. She had thought it would be something she could navigate around, something she could give a soft answer to, something she could turn into time. He did not give her time. He gave her a word with no room around it. Marry. Dante. Yes. You don't ask a girl that. After 2 months, you don't ask a maid that. You are not a maid. I was. You are not now. That doesn't change what I was. It changes everything. She tried to pull her hand back. He did not let her. Listen to me, he said. I know what this looks like. I know what this is. I know what kind of man I am, and I know what kind of life I am offering you. And I know that you have been raised by a woman who has told you correctly that men like me ruin women like you. I know all of that. I am not asking you to pretend it is not true. I am asking you to look at it. To look at all of it, and to decide anyway. To decide what? To decide whether you want the life I am offering you, with your eyes open, the way your mother told you to. She froze. How How do you know my mother said that? He was silent. Dante, how do you know? There is a recording device in the room your mother is staying in. She tried to stand up. He did not let go of her hand. Arya, listen. You bugged her room. I bug every room in this house, Arya. I have for 10 years. It is how I have stayed alive. There are 3 men in this country who have tried to kill me in the last decade, and they are all dead because of those recordings. I do not turn them off. I have never turned them off, not for anyone. You listened to me, to my mother and me. I listened to one conversation, the one where you came back to her room at 3 in the morning. I listened because I was on a plane to New York with a question in my pocket I was going to ask you on Friday, and I needed to know if you were going to say yes. That was private, Dante. I know. That was a dying woman talking to her daughter. I know, Arya. And you listened anyway. Yes, she was crying. She did not know when she had started. Why are you telling me this? Because. His voice was very low. Because if I did not tell you, you would never know. And you would marry me without knowing. And on the day you found out, and you would find out, Arya, eventually, you find out everything that is one of the things I have learned about you. On the day you found out, you would never forgive me. And I would rather you not marry me, knowing than marry me not knowing and lose you in 5 years over a thing I could have told you today. She could not speak. There it is, he said quietly. That is who I am, Arya. That is the whole truth. I bug rooms. I plan women for 6 months before I speak to them. I send other women home in cars and tell myself we are even. I have a closet of clothes I bought you before you knew my name. I asked Sophia your dress size in a hallway. I paid for your mother's life because I wanted you to owe me something I could never collect, so that I could spend the rest of mine collecting it anyway. That is who I am. I am not telling you any of this so that you will pity me. I am telling you so that when you say yes or no, you say it to me. Not the man you have been imagining for 3 days, me. She closed her eyes. She thought about her mother saying the heart is going to want to forgive him. She thought about Sophia in the kitchen saying that is why we say yes. She thought about Mrs. Calloway saying I have a daughter. She thought about the 2 girls in San Diego, the actress, the one who wrote letters every Christmas. She thought about the woman she had been 4 months ago, on a bus at 4:30 in the morning with a mother dying and a paycheck that did not cover the medicine. She thought about the dress in the closet, and she opened her eyes. Dante, yes. If I say yes, I am not saying yes the way you want me to. I know. I am not in love with you. I know. I am something else, something I do not have a name for, and I will probably love you eventually, and I will probably hate you eventually, and I will probably do both at the same time for a very long time. And I am telling you that now. I am not pretending I am a girl in a story. I am not pretending you are a man in a story. I am telling you what I am the way you told me what you are. Yes, Arya. I want my mother safe. Done. I want her with us, not in a separate apartment, not in a wing of the house I never see. With us. Until the end. And the end is going to come, Dante. The medicine is buying time. It is not buying forever. Done. I want Mrs. Calloway taken care of, whatever she needs, for telling me what she told me, for telling all of them what she told me. Done. I want Sophia given something. I do not know what. I do not know what she would want, but she did a thing she did not have to do, and she did it for me, and I am not going to forget it. Done. I want to be told things, Dante, not all things. I am not a fool. I know what kind of business you are in. I do not want to know the names. I do not want to know the faces. But if something is coming for this house, I want to know. If we are in danger, I want to know. If you are about to make a decision that will change my life, I want to know before you make it, not after. He looked at her for a long, long time. That is a hard thing to promise, Arya. I know. Some things I cannot tell you in advance. Some things telling you in advance would put you in more danger, not less. You have to trust me about which is which. I am asking you to try, Dante. I will try. And one more thing. What? The room I slept in, the guest room, with the recording device. Yes. Take it out, Tita. Arya. Take it out, Dante. I am not asking for any of the others. I am not asking you to stop being who you are. I am asking you for one room. The room I sleep in, the room my mother sleeps in, Take it out. He nodded slowly. Done. Today, now, she nodded. She let out a breath she did not realize she had been holding. Then yes, Dante, she said. Yes. He closed his eyes. He pressed her hand against his forehead. He did not speak for a long time. And when he did, his voice was not the voice she knew. It was something underneath the voice she knew, something she had never heard before. Arya, yes, I am going to fail you. I want you to know that. I am going to fail you in ways neither of us can predict yet. I am going to, cruel sometimes, and I am going to be jealous, and I am going to be a man who has bugged rooms for 10 years, and that man does not unmake himself overnight. I am going to fail you, and I am asking you to stay anyway. That is the whole of it. That is what I am asking. I know, Dante. You know, yes. How? Because my mother told me 3 days ago. She told me that the heart was going to want to forgive you for things you had not done yet. And I thought she was warning me about you. But sitting here right now, I think she was warning me about me. Because I am going to forgive you, Dante. I am not going to be able to help it. And that is the thing she was afraid of. Not you, me. He looked up at her. There was something in his face that she had never seen before on any man in any room. Arya, he said softly, will you do something for me? What? Will you put on the pearls? She stood up. She walked back through the house. Her mother was awake. She told her mother yes. Her mother did not cry. Her mother just said, open your eyes, baby, and keep them open. And Arya promised her. She put on the pearls. She walked back into his office. He was still in the chair where she had left him. He stood up. He looked at her. He said, you're mine forever now, Arya. And she looked at him with her eyes open the way her mother had asked her to, and she said, and you are mine, Dante, forever, whatever forever means in a house like this, with a man like you. I am claiming it the same way you are claiming me. Do you understand? He did not answer right away. He came to her. He put his hand on the back of her neck the way he had the first time. He pressed his forehead to hers, and he said very quietly, yes, Arya, I understand. The wedding was small. It happened in the house. Her mother was there. Mrs. Calloway was there. Sophia was there in a dress Arya had bought her. Marco walked her down the hallway because he had asked and because she had said yes. 6 weeks later, the test was in her hand. She did not even need to take it. She knew. She had known for a week, but she took it anyway because some things you do because the world expects you to, and she sat on the edge of the bed in her own bedroom in a house that was now also hers, and she watched the line appear, and she did not cry. She walked downstairs. He was in his office. He looked up. He saw her face. He stood up. Arya, I'm pregnant. He went still in a way she had only seen once before, the morning she had told him there was something underneath the fear. He went still like a man who had been holding his breath since the day he picked her in a hallway 6 months earlier. You knew this would happen, she said softly. Didn't you? Yes. You wanted it to. Yes. From the beginning. From the beginning. She nodded. She walked over to him. She took his hand. She put it on her stomach. Then this child is mine, Dante. Not yours. Mine. And I will share him with you. And I will let you love him. And I will let you protect him. But he is mine. The way you have been claiming me for 6 months. I am claiming him. Do you understand me? He looked at her. He was crying. Dante Valentino was crying. She had not known he could. Yes, Arya, he whispered. I understand. The baby was a boy. They named him Eleanor's father's name because Eleanor was holding him when she died 3 months later, in the room next to Arya's with her hand on the baby's small back. Eleanor's last words to her daughter were, your eyes, baby, keep them open. And Arya did. She kept them open through the years that came after, through the men who came to the house with bad news, through the nights Dante did not come home, through the second child, and the third, through the betrayals he did not commit, and the ones he did through the love that grew anyway. The way love sometimes does in soil it has no business growing in. She kept her eyes open for the rest of her life. And on the day many years later, when Dante Valentino was an old man in a chair by a window, and he turned to her and said, Arya, was it worth it? The whole of it? Was it worth it? She looked at him with the same eyes she had looked at him with on a Friday morning when she was 23 years old, And a man had asked her to marry him after telling her every terrible thing he had ever done. And she said, yes, Dante, every minute of it, yes. She had been picked once by a man in a hallway, but in the end she had chosen him back. And that not the pearls, not the dress, not the vow, not the child, not the years, that was the thing that had made her finally and forever his equal. That was the thing that had made her free.